Alright, folks, we're back with another episode of Story Analysis. I'm Pierre,
And I'm Chris.
and tonight we'll be jumping into another theme in this poem journey that we're on, and we are doing personification.
Why are we doing personification?
Why? That's a very good question.
What's the thought process?
Literally for nothing at all. It's just giving an object or an animal lifelike or human characteristics. But okay, it's just a form that is interesting to me. I guess I'll just say form.
Okay, it's interesting
yeah.
to you.
It really is. Like especially when a poet can hold one thing throughout the whole poem, staying on it, and like I said, giving it lifelike characteristics. Like Kaye is about to do with a computer, a laptop. Kenneth is about to do with a rope. It's very beautiful. I like when poets do this. My favorite personification phrase is from Bianca Phipps. When the boy says he loves my body, that's the name of the poem. It's like she's insecure because of her past. So because of that, she said in the poem, how does the burnt forest learn to trust the sun again? Like, how does it learn to reach for warmth without mistaking it for war? Which is so beautiful.
If that's your favorite example, why aren't we doing that?
Because the whole poem is not about the forest. The poem is about her, how she's been broken in the past. For that reason, she's brought up this wall, this shell that makes it hard for someone to penetrate, to go through. And she tells you that at the end. But yeah, if this was the whole poem, I would for sure. Bianca Phipps is in there. Yeah, when we get to insecurities later down on this long list of poems, we're going to do that poem when the boy says he loves my body, which is beautiful. But these guys stay on top.
That is a great line.
It's a very beautiful line. How does a burnt forest learn to trust the warmth of the sun? Damn it. So we're gonna start off with Kaye, Numbers Man. We've done Kaye before, of course. We literally did the first ever poem in this poem journey was with Kaye, Teeth, which we fucking love that chronological story that he told us. And we did My Grandmother's Ballroom, which was beautiful too, for terminal illnesses by Kaye. And now we're doing personification. Okay, that's it. Do you have anything to add, Christian, before we dive into it?
No, let's go.
Okay.
From the perspective of my old laptop, I am a numbers man. Something like that. Every instruction he gives me is a 1 or a 0. I remember well. I have information about him before he left me for his new toy. Thinner, younger, able to keep up with him. I have information about him. May 15th, 2008. He listened to a song 5 times in succession. It was titled, Everybody, open parentheses, Backstreet's Back, close parentheses. It included the lyric, am I sexual? Yeah. He said once, computers lack a sense of finality to them. When I write something, I don't want to be able to run from it. This was a lie. He was addicted to my ability to keep his secrets.
This is literally a laptop. But so many people can relate, like in life, right? This, if you take this at face value, like your first thought of this would probably be like a husband who leaves his wife for a side chick. Like, or there's just gonna be plenty other examples. Like, he left me for his new toy. It was younger, thinner, who could keep up with him because the laptop, the former laptop, is old, outdated. There's a newer version. He said computers lack a finality to them. Like, when I write something, I don't want to come back to it, but he was lying because he was addicted to my ability to keep his secrets. And we dive deeper into the poem to find out that he kept going back to the picture of that girl that he used to like. So it's the way he worded that, a sense of finality. Like, when something's done, I want it to just be done and over with. Like, it's like a guy who with a side chick. We're just gonna smash and that's it. But he keeps coming back. Emotions start to grow from both ends, or something like that. So yeah, he is doing this so beautifully. Like, the personification of this laptop that is so relatable to some couples, to divorcees, to girlfriends and boyfriends that got cheated on, that were there all along the way and then was just left. Like, oof, okay, this is my final quote. This is from our boy Kevin Cantor. Like, you're blooming in another man's garden, but I'm the one who got my hands dirty. We're gonna do that poem too. As in, like, I was there with you from the ground up. I was there, but then you left, which is what Phil Kaye, this computer, is saying. It's fucking beautiful shit. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess in a way the computer does go through the full, maybe not the full range, but it goes through quite the arc in terms of emotions that it goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has jealousy.
Yes.
Eventually it'll have frustration. It'll have awe. It'll be angry. It'll be sad. Like, it goes through the turbulence that like a human would.
Yes,
So-
but he worded all of that in computer like language on my ones and zeros. Ugh, just to stay on topic with a topic throughout a poem, completely talking about something else. Dude, the freaking double entendres for these two poems that we're doing is insane, man. But yeah, that's what personification is. Just bringing them to life.
I am a numbers man. Every instruction he gives me is a 1 or a 0 I remember well. January 7th, 2007. I was young, just 2 weeks awake. He gave me a new series of 1s and 0s, the most sublime sequence I had ever seen. It had curves and shadow. It was him. He gave me his face in numbers and trusted me to be the artist, and I was. Do not laugh. I have read about your God. You kill each other over your grandfather's memory of him. I still remember the fingertips of my God dancing across my body.
It's powerful.
That's powerful. Oh, we're gonna get to that shit. But yes, that's powerful as fuck. But how does it start the relationship? This almost sounds like dating a narcissist. And when we get to the end, I'm gonna get like the full circle. How this man built this computer up. The computer, at this point, the computer can just embody a person. This man or woman built this other woman or man up. Like, made me feel special, trusted me with his face. As in, babe, you're number one, babe. No, you're the prettiest girl in the world. You're the most handsome guy in the world. It's like, oh, you want the key to my car? There you go. He trusted me, like, with his face. All this, the most beautiful sequence of 1s and 0s I've ever felt. He or she, too, was in love. The computer. Like, oh my goodness, this is real love. This is true love. Like, oh, and the way his fingertips, Christian, wait, what am I saying? The fingertips of my God dancing across my body. Because he's typing. just because this is like affection. This is touch. And this computer, this is like love making pretty much. But then the pungent line in there, right? Do not laugh. Like, I heard about your God. You kill each other over your grandfather's memory of your God. Now, what is one of the biggest reason of war and genocide in this world? I've mentioned this already in The Last of Us, I think episode 7, whichever one was a episode that was religion-based, well, that touched up on the cult people of religion. Like, the Middle East is divided. A big reason of that is religion, the different beliefs. Like, the Pilgrims, invaded, like, the Native Americans, their God claimed it. In Canada, they killed hella Native American kids trying to get them to convert. Because to them, you need to be with my God or you're an enemy. So for him to say you kill each other over your grandfather's memory of him, because another thing that's embedded in religion is tradition, which someone said something that was fucking beautiful, Christian. This guy said tradition is just peer pressure from people who've already died. Like, I butchered that, but he said that in a way better term. Because memories...
Yeah, he texted me that.
Yeah, you kill each other over your grandfather's memory of him. But no. But my God, I love my God. I can feel my God's fingertips dancing across my body because it's typing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you how you feel about this, because you would consider yourself a religious person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the what Phil is talking about here is basically like the computer is sort of mocking the fact that religion is built upon faith that doesn't have concrete, like, irrefutable proof. because it says, I
Yes,
still remember,
memories.
yeah, the
Yes.
fingertips of my God. So how do you, as somebody who is religious, does that strike you in a certain way? Like, do you think
Well,
going off of faith is just, how do you perceive that, or how do you take that in?
well, that's the thing. Right, is I'm not really religious. I'm more like biblical. Like I read the Word, the Bible, and I do like believe like in God, but I'm not tied to a religion because a religion, the same, unfortunately, these days as a political party, comes with so many like stigmas, so many boxes that you have to check that you might not even be aligned with. But it's all just morphed into one that it's no longer as pure as unifying as it was supposed to be. Like there's just so much shit involved. Like there's so much hypocrisy in religion, which The Last of Us, that episode covered it well too. But even in real life, like religious people sometimes can be the most judgmental people you'll ever meet. So I'm more focused on the word than the group associated with the teaching of said word. Even the word, the Bible was just interpreted in so many different ways, which gave birth to so many different religions, which is another cause of division. But yeah, it's more of the word than the religion. But what he just said, I 100% back that up. It really is a strong cause of fucking destruction within this world. Different beliefs, tradition, and religion.
So when you say you do believe in a God, what does that mean? Like, is it because you grew up in a culture, or you grew up in a household where everybody else also believed in God, so it kind of that shaped why you choose to believe in God? Or like what is the motivating factor for you to like proudly say that you believe in God?
Well, in terms of like concrete proof, like you just mentioned, that is true. I don't have none. And yes, my upbringing plays a huge role in that. That is true. I was born and raised in a very religious household. Like my mom still goes to church like, twice a week till this day. Um, but I guess for me, it was just seeing how like we're created, seeing evil and so much good in this world. It was adamant to me and crystal clear that there must be a balance to all this like bad shit that's going on, and there must be something bigger than just the Big Bang, or just an evolution from an ape, because we are made like too perfectly imperfect. Like as in, there's like your conscience. How do you like? Where would that come from? Something in the back of your head that's trying to stop you when you're trying to do bad. Like how? Like there's just so many things that because I can't explain them, because there's no solution, not solutions, not problems, because there's no reasoning behind them, plus a ton of other things, plus my upbringing got me to the point where like I believe that there's a higher power, which is God. But then again, this is all subjective, because like there's atheists, there's a bunch of things. That's just me. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
crazy shit, man.
you're touching on the idea of like sentience and awareness that plays a huge role in because you brought up consciousness too. Like that plays such a big role in just the concept of God, because as humans we can think about God in these very I guess grounded terminology, and we can do so using language. But if you look at an animal, and like what would God be to that animal? You know, like even though we as humans were animals, we're just intelligent animals. But that kind of ties into what I wanted to say about this portion, because nowadays the idea of computers gaining sentience, gaining intelligence, gaining awareness, that's no longer in the realm of fantasy.
Right.
It's a lot more realistic, and it's coming a lot sooner than people expected, because we're talking about this in 2024. And as the resident computer geek and software developer, I keep tabs on things that are happening in the world of AI. And I want to say a couple months ago, or maybe even last year, there was a pretty huge breakthrough in AI technology. One that was feared to be the onset of a true superintelligence, like the kind that we should be afraid of if it's not kept in check. So this idea of us being the gods of computers, it's no longer just a metaphor. Like we are on the precipice of creating not just life, but intelligent life. When you think about it, humans are basically computers. And in fact, I know a lot about computers because I studied this, and this is what This is the career path I've dedicated my life to, pretty much. And our computers, they mimic our reality. Like if we were to compare humans and computers, the software of a computer is like a human brain. The hardware is like the human body. The electricity running through a computer's circuits is like blood running through our veins. Cameras are eyes. Microphones and speakers, that's like ears and mouths. So if you dig even deeper, the algorithms, the logic that's given to these computers have real world parallels. Like in software, there's something called binary trees. Think of like a tree. That's exactly what it is, pretty much. And also in software engineering, there's this idea of like recursion. And you can basically think of that as like a dream within a dream within a dream. So like think of Inception. That's pretty much recursion. And that is a fundamental part of software engineering. So computers are now able to generate art through various forms of input. Like throughout this poem, Phil is constantly referencing how the computer is an artist and it's creating art. Mm-hmm. So that's like saying, like the computers nowadays, what AI is doing, it's observing human created art, learning from it, and then getting creative by making its own version of it. So that sounds like it sounds a lot like what humans do, right? Like if you're a human, you're a kid, if you want to learn how to draw, you look at how other people draw and then you try to copy it. That's exactly what these computers are doing. So what's interesting about conversations like this, or the conversations or the poem, the idea that Phil is bringing up here, is that it helps frame the existence of humanity and what it means to be alive and to be aware. Because Phil's personified computer is saying we, the flawed, imperfect, wandering in the dark creatures called humans, are being called gods by these machines. And then I just explained how humans are basically computers. So what does that say about the beings that we humans call God? Right? Is it too some flawed, imperfect, wandering in the dark creature who tinkered with reality and created us? It's a pretty interesting thought exercise that might give us hints as to how, why, or maybe even who created us. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
There's a quote in Spy Kids that one of the actors said, "Do you think God stays in heaven because he lives in fear of what he's created?" And the question, and I was like, "God damn it!" I was just a kid watching Spy Kids, like Spy Kids,
I got
bro.
chills. Yo, that actually gave me
Disney
chills.
Channel. That's a Disney Channel movie. It's like, fuck. Even as I was like 10 watching that, I was just like, what the fuck did this guy just say? But crazy shit. But yeah. Okay. Dude, that's not even a tangent. This was very beautiful conversation. Like, so.
Yeah, no, it's pretty on point.
It's pretty on point. Let's keep going. Oh shit.
All right.
After I learned to draw him, he trusted me with more artwork. JPEG 1063 was his favorite. Him and that woman resting her head in the curve of his neck. I read his correspondence. She hasn't written him back in years, but he asks for it constantly. JPEG 1063, JPEG 1063, JPEG 1063. It was my masterpiece. It looked so lifelike. I wanted to tell him, that is not her. That is me. That is not her face. Those are my ones and zeros waltzing in place for you. She is nothing more than my shadow puppet. You do not miss her. You miss me.
In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm a big Marvel fan, Ada, I think his name was Ada. Some guy created this AI, but give it a body of a woman, and she constantly grew more conscious until she freaking activated herself and just took her commands too literally. Like, the guy created the framework, this other world, just like Inception. Well, Inception, you have to be dreaming. The framework is the world that he created. But Ada's number one fucking code that he put into Ada was to protect the framework. So Ada killed him. Ada's like, yeah, the number one rule that you programmed me with was protecting the framework. You're the fucking problem with the framework. I have to kill you. It was insane. But the same way Ada got jealous because Fisk was in love with Gemma. That's the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. If anyone's listening to this, watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they'll get what I'm saying. But yeah, it's like, this computer's starting to fucking forget her place. Like, bitch, you're not a girl. This jealousy shit, put that shit down. Anyway, yeah, so there's another girl. Oh shit, like my boy's now giving me coordinates, giving me data for some other girl that he keeps going back to. She hasn't written him back, bro. I just want to tell him, bro, homegirl's gone. Which means the proprietor, the fuck? Fuck. Propriétaire? How do you say that in English? Okay, let's a less fucking bigger word. That's the French version. The owner of this laptop has found a new muse. Well, you were never a muse. You're a laptop, but I understand. Feelings got confused. I get that. That's what makes this poem so beautiful. So yeah, he's now into another girl, but the girl probably broke up with him. Why? Because he's written and she's never written back. The laptop can see. That's evidence. Like JPEG 1063, JPEG 1063. What did he say at the beginning? Computers lack a finality to them. When I write something, I don't want to be able to run from it. Which the computers say it was a lie. He was addicted to my ability to keep his secrets. She's taking you full circle. He kept going back to that picture. It was probably like some nude. So like the girl naked. Whoever the girl is that broke his heart. Keep going back to it. It looks so lifelike. So now she's getting this shit confused because I drew this masterpiece with the coordinates that you gave me. So you're not gazing at her. You're gazing at me. Like you don't miss her. You miss me. It's when feelings get involved, especially with real people, and collateral damage, of course, which I've ranted about a lot in this podcast that I hate when writers do. This one seems unintentional. This one seems like this whole thing was misconstrued, but these things do happen in real life. There are guys that get girls, make them feel special. Like I mentioned, narcissists. Narcissists love dating people with low self-esteem. They can mold them, break them, like make a fake, break their heart when they want to. Tell them, shit, I'm leaving you right now, knowing, oh shit, she's gonna be crying. Or like Sam Smith's, like, no peace. Like, you held my heart in your fingertips, now I'm drowning in bitterness. Fingertips, play with you. Which is what can happen in real life, but this is a whole different thing. Yeah, Christian, I've been ranting for a bunch of different things. I'm losing what even I'm trying to say at this point, so jump in and save the rest of these people.
All right, well, you want to just play it out to the end?
Honestly, just play it out. Yeah.
All right.
I am a numbers man. Every instruction he gives me is a 1 or a 0 I remember well. But he taught me to be a Da Vinci. And I sit here with his portraits, waiting for him to return. I do not think he will. Is that what it means to be human? To be all-powerful? To build a temple to yourself and leave only the walls to pray?
Crazy shit. So,
Made it
like I mentioned,
religious
right?
again, the last line.
Build you up. Yes. He taught me to be a Da Vinci. He raised you up, bro. He made you feel like something. He made you feel valuable and just left me with all the paintings. Like, is that what it means to be human? To build a temple to yourself and leave only the walls to pray. Like, just leave you behind like you never existed. Which, like you just mentioned, to the computer, the human is the God. To the humans who lack accountability, like I was mentioned, who says, why would God create us and just leave us here to die, like in sin and shit, like he doesn't care? Which, this is a whole different... I can't keep going into these tangents. This one will be quick. Which, if you take your time to fully read the Bible, when you're given free will, he won't intervene with your life. Like, or another thing, if he knew he was going to sin, like why would he put the fucking tree in the garden? Like, there's a bunch of different things. I don't want to get into these things. But basically, like you said, she is saying, is that what it is to be human? Which a lot of humans are saying, is that what it is to be God? To watch these atrocities, these genocides, these mass murdering and suffering happening if you just sit back and not even give a fuck about your creation. But that's subjective.
You know what I just thought of? Because this poem, it's framing it in this idea that the computer itself is one single existence. But when computers can be used to create worlds, you know what I mean? Like video games can be a world in of themselves. So there's I don't know if I've ever told you this, but if you imagine like a 3D program, like there's one called Blender where you can there's like this 3D object manipulation tool. So if you had one monitor that had this 3D world in it, and then you put another monitor behind it, and then you put another 3D world in that monitor, and you just continually stack monitors against each other, that's the clearest representation I think you can, or the clearest image you can have of like a 4-dimensional space where there's a bunch of 3D worlds on 2D surfaces that are just stacked against each other, and we as the humans are standing in like the 4-dimensional space. If you think of it this way, it's like you could see a computer as a world, not just one singular being.
Right.
And that's another parallel you can make to the human world. That's pretty cool. I always love thinking about that idea specifically. Like, this poem just made me think about that again. Like, the computer doesn't have to be like, what if the computer wasn't just a single entity? What if it was like a world that housed multiple entities? Really cool stuff. Because video games, like, imagine if you took an AI and it has sentience, and then you put it in the body of a video game character. Because now that character is, assuming it's like a sentient AI, it's alive in a world that it exists in. So the rules of that world, the nature of that world, it's like that's all it's ever known. Yeah. So if it tries to learn about how to go up into space, there might be a space outside of this world that we, the humans, designed, but it can never escape the television. You know what I mean? And we are the like the quote unquote gods that are watching behind the television, but they can never reach us exactly. So what if our God is like watching behind the television, a space that we can never enter into because we're living in a monitor? You know what I'm getting at? It's a weird thought. And then also, like what I said about stacking monitors, that's like parallel universes. What you and I are doing in one monitor might be different than what we're doing in another monitor, and another monitor, and another monitor. So these theories of like time and how time works, it could be onto something, and that could be a way to visualize what's happening. And then we're just creating AIs ourselves. So it's like an AI creating an AI, which might also create an AI. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy thought to go down.
Yeah, it's literally an infinite path of possibilities. Oof, Christian Dark Matter, which I just finished. Oh my God, I'm not going to another tangent. I'm just gonna stick to yours. Yeah. But basically, that show's fucking electric. Technology is very and we're only at the genesis of it all. You know, like humans are only unlocking just like the tip of what they can do with this. A lot of us don't even understand this yet enough to mold us into what we want it to do. Like only a handful. And that handful is doing crazy shit. Like, dude, you got shit like ChatGPT these days. Like one of my boys, he owns properties. So ChatGPT wrote his like tenant contracts for him. It's insane. Just so much. But at the same time, the reliance, of like humanity on these things, like it makes things like critical thinking, things like fucking curiosity, these shit are plummeting. Because why are you curious to find out something that you can get access to from just one question? But anyway, that's the other side of a coin. That's like devil's advocate type shit. But and
technology is the result of humanity. Like every thing that has happened in human history has all led to what we have now with technology. That's true. Every stepping stone in human civilization, it's always about progression. And then surrounding this is like, I think I might have talked about this on the last episode, but like surrounding this progression, there's like wars that happen that are byproducts of like the clashing of ideas. Mm-hmm. But the essence of what it means to clash ideas is to rub ideas together so you can draw a conclusion that is the sum of its two parts. Yeah. Right? So like the clash of ideas is necessary in order to further science, in order to further technology. Sometimes these clashes escalate way beyond what they're like intended to do, which is to go towards this route of progression. And these clashes are so strong, they end up in things like wars and a whole bunch of traumas that happen in the world and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all led up to what's happening now, which it's technology is advancing. And then if we take away the word technology, it's just life. New life is being created, and it's taking the form of technology. It's very interesting.
No, that's true. Crazy shit, man. But But for this poem, unfortunately, specifically for this poem, it's more of someone who's like jaded, jealous, upset because they feel like used, pretty much, left behind, like left and moved on to someone younger and thinner. But yes, for your aspect, there's hella fucking just so much to be done with this shit. Okay, all right, yeah. So we're fucking moving on to the second poem, Personification. Keep in mind, we're fucking black. But regardless, yes,
I'm
we
purple,
are.
actually.
Christian, thank you. Like, levity is needed for this fucking upcoming shit. I'm gonna brace myself. Every time I listen to this shit, it's the same fucking way. But yes, personification, right? Kenneth something is going to personify a rope. So, okay, all right. That's it.
All right.
We're gonna let this one run through. It's I didn't feel that there were any ways to pause it. He doesn't speak quickly, but he progresses through the story pretty at a smooth pace, but not smooth enough to have stops, like long periods with long pauses. So we're just gonna run through the whole thing and just say our piece at the end. Cool. All right, Christian, let's go.
Every rope is a community of fibers brought together to serve a purpose greater than ourselves. So when I was assembled, I wanted to be on a flagpole. I wanted to hold up a symbol of what this country stood for. My greatest fear was being a jump rope. I just thought I would get dizzy from the spinning and spinning and spinning, but I never became a jump rope. I started on a shelf in a little store when two men walked in and purchased me. They threw me in their back seat next to a beer, a shotgun, and some sheets, and we drove to the middle of nowhere. I heard them say, "The only good nigga is a dead nigga." When we got there, one of the men started to twist my body into a knot, said now my name was Noose. I saw the man they was mad at. He was all black and bleeding and praying. He prayed and prayed so loud, like he was waiting for the sky to just break open for God to intervene. They put me around his neck and tied me to a tree. He kicked and cried and swung. He kicked and cried and swung. He kicked and cried and swung until nothing. There was no God there, just us and nothing. But with the flies as witness, I learned how to pray. Proof that under the right circumstance, even a rope can be religious. It's been 9 days and I'm still praying someone will come to cut him free. Even that means cutting me in half, because this ain't what I was supposed to be. I'd rather be dead than live like this. They say God will never give you a cross that you can't carry. But I don't know if anyone knows how heavy of a cross he is. When I was assembled, I wanted to be on a flagpole. I wanted to hold up a symbol of what this country stood for. I just didn't know it would look like this.
The cadence he decided to tell this poem is interesting, because I heard him speak earlier, and he has because when he's saying this poem, it sounds like he has a stutter.
Yeah.
But beforehand, he's speaking regularly.
Yeah. It's I would say like even the accent, like down south, and a stutter, and Oh, I forgot to even mention that. Yeah, Phil's poem too. Did you see how he spoke? He embodied a laptop, like a monotone, semi-monotone kind of voice, like Siri in a way. That's basically what I think Kenneth just did. Yeah, because Phil Kaye didn't speak like Phil Kaye when he did Numbers Man. Yeah, the stutter. Literally just or even like if you think like a rope, like you're stuttering, you're tongue tied. So like a rope. That's just me reading too much into it. But
Mhm.
whatever his reasoning was. So yeah, ropes. Ropes are a community of fibers with a purpose. Great. He wanted
Well,
to
I guess real quick, let me just say what I thought the stuttering might be alluding to. Maybe because I
okay.
thought the rope might have been traumatized, and because it starts off, the rope is very innocent, right? Like, because in the beginning, the rope is reflecting on its existence. He says a rope, or it says a rope of fibers made
Yeah,
to
it's a
serve a
community of
purpose
fibers
greater
made
than
to a
ourselves.
purpose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's like a pride behind that notion.
Wow.
Like there's an expectation to serve this noble purpose, but because the rope was just born, it's innocent. So, like, and he says like so because it's innocent, the worst possibility in its mind was being a jump rope because it would get dizzy, and then the best case
Yes.
scenario was like supporting a country.
Yes.
But
To be on
I
a
cut you off,
flagpole.
so
Yes. No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Christian. This. Yes, this is why this fucking dialogue. This is why you're needed, man. Well, not needed. I don't want to make you feel like you're fucking important. You're not important. But this is why this works. I mean,
Thanks.
yes, I completely. Oh, dude, no, your mind is sick. My mind, like your mind, Christian. But yeah, that's a very good point. Yes, because the trauma is what is like you can even hear the pain, the stutter. Yeah, for sure. Well, not for sure. We don't know. We're not Kenneth, but yes, I can completely see it from that angle. Yes, he says ropes are a community of fibers with a purpose. His purpose, he wanted to be a symbol of hope, for this country, of what the country stood for. The be on a flagpole, like being what's holding the American flag as it's waving. And the last thing he wanted to be, like you just said, he was very innocent, a jump rope because he'd get like too dizzy. Which, yeah, that's true actually. Like those are thoughts of like a child, because your
Right.
innocence, your age, you can't like comprehend or even imagine darkness, which is another reason why I to go back to the God thing one last time. How we're born like good, like we're imperfect, but like even like something like racism, which this poem is, you don't you're not born racist. Like look at a fucking kindergarten class. Well, look at a
Right.
middle class kindergarten class. Like high class probably just all white kids or some of the black rich ones. But yeah, like it's just you don't see color yet. You're taught to have hate. But regardless, back to this thing. Yeah. That is innocence. That is true. So yeah, he was just left the rope. It was just left on a shelf, and two men walked in and purchased it. Now, little details. What's in the back of that truck? A beer, a shotgun, and some sheets. Some sheets. Was that KKK hood? Like the hoods? But we don't know. You can stretch your mind to these details and let them run wherever they want to. But it's just all these little things I believe he put in there for a purpose. Like yes, as they're driving, he hear one of them say, "The only good nigga is a dead nigga." Like fuck. Get there, some guy is crying, screaming, praying to God. I'm now a noose. It tied me to a tree, and just tied me around his neck. Like shit. And the way he just keep repeating, he kicked and cried and swung. He kicked and cried and swung. It's so fucking visceral, and it's so sad because these aren't fiction. Shit like that did happen. Hell, shit like that might still be happening somewhere in some fucking state down south. Some shit like that might be happening right now. We just don't know. It's yeah, like this poem is, dude. When we get to the black theme, my goodness, just talking about them shit is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, and the guy was praying for God, the religion aspect, but no God came. Under the right circumstances, even a rope can be religious. Like I have friends that are atheists that there's this friend of mine. She's atheist, but she was going through some crazy stuff. Her grandma died, and she was telling me like she prayed for the first time to make the pain of that void go away because her grandma was her existence. And to me, it's just like even people that say I don't believe in God, when it comes to your darkest moment, you find a way to cling back to the God.
Yeah.
It's some crazy shit. But yes, under the right
Yeah,
circumstances, yeah.
Dude, there are moments in my life too where because I consider I think like agnostic atheist is what it is for me. That's like I don't completely like I acknowledge that I'm a human and I don't have all the answers. So I acknowledge that there might be a God and I acknowledge that there might not be. I just sway more towards there might not be. That's pretty much. But I'm open-minded that there might be a God.
Yeah.
But there are times in my life where I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just, please help me out here. And I I wonder what that is, because that's is it just is it like a relic of faith that once existed, and I'm just trying to like grasp onto anything I can, like you said,
Yeah.
cling onto anything, or if it's just a way to give hope a form, and then to directly address hope. You know, I don't know what that is, but I'm not surprised that that happens just in general. And you know what's really interesting too? I've noticed some really high figures in society right now. Like I don't know. Have you heard of Jake Paul? Do you know who that is?
Jake Paul, that's the boxer, right?
Yeah, he's like the YouTuber who's now like a boxer, and he's boxing people like
Yeah.
you know, Mike Tyson is like, he was coming up next. And I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to interviews between like one of the interviews I happened to listen to was like Jake Paul with his friend George Janko, who's an incredibly religious guy. And I hear podcasts with these people who've reached such heights that there's nobody really above them to look up to. And these people, a lot of times, like Andrew Tate, he's another person that I've seen who's like, he is so incredibly wealthy, and yet he's devoting himself to God. And I think it's very fascinating how people who've reached these incredible heights, where it's hard to find somebody above them, choose to look towards God as somebody who's like perpetually above them. And of course, God is like, it's another name is the Father, right? So it's like, we as humans, we want somebody above us who we can take comfort in the fact that they're looking out for us.
Yeah.
And when you're in such incredibly high powers of position in human society where nobody is above you, in many senses, you look to God. And I think it's very telling of human nature in many ways.
It's true. Yeah. Both of these poems, it's definitely the religious aspect, the belief aspect. Yeah, they touched up on those heavily, actually. And that is true. Yeah, even atheists, just like, damn. Or even something small as like, God bless you. Like when someone sneezes. If you don't believe in God, why do you say that? But then again, that just might be repetition. That just might be from like, hearing over and over. But at the same time, why do you go to a higher power when shit hits the fan? You know, when your back is against the wall, why do you finally get on your knees? Just, it's crazy shit, man. But yeah, like you said, even a rope, under the right circumstances, even a rope can be religious. It's been 9 days. This guy's been dead, Christian. Like, it's been 9 days. Like at this point, this rope is praying for someone to cut him free, even if that means cutting me in half. Like, I just can't bear this anymore. Like, I'm willing to die so this man can just go on the floor, because I can't hold this weight. They say God would never give you a cross that you can't carry, but they don't know how heavy of a cross this is. This is obviously like a double entendre, but still, it's like, yeah, like you'd never have burdens that are too big for you, but this literal burden, this heavy dead human being, because when you're dead, Christian, I'm assuming you're heavier because everything is dropped. It's like
wait, okay, oh my God, well, I'm not gonna keep going on these tangents, all right? But there's this one thing I heard recently. I don't know if this was like a plot from like One Piece, or if this was like an actual thing that happens, but the idea is that when a person dies, your body is measured on a scale, or it's measured like right before you die and then right after, and then there's always like this, you lose 10 pounds, and they say that 10 pounds is your soul leaving your body. I forget if that's One Piece or I forget, but what you just said made me think of that, and I think that's a really cool idea, and that if that's why you lose weight. But you're talking about like the body's heavy though, right?
Yeah, because it's hanging. It's but shit, that might be true, man. Yeah, and then it goes back to the beginning. Like, like it's reflecting. I wanted to be a symbol of what this country stood for. I didn't know it would look like this. Which, to dig into the fucking racism theme, that, I mean, if we're fucking gonna be real, like, what is this country's root? It's based on, like, slavery. Slavery, of course, there's a sense of superiority for slave owners or anyone with a fairer and lighter skin, which fucking like you can't wipe out the roots like of a tree. Like like it'll never be a start over. It'll just be a continuation. You can try to straighten it into a better direction, the branches, but the trunk is what it always was and what it always will be. So for it saying I didn't know it would look like this is just, it is what it is. But yeah, it's fucking, this was a sad poem. Now these two poems could have easily been in under different categories. I think I mentioned that in the beginning. Like Numbers Man could easily be under like heartbreak, because that's like being left behind, you know, like being loved and then tossed aside. That's something that the computer can't deal with. This rape poem could easily be under a black/racism theme that we're gonna get into, but the fact that they focused on an object and gave it lifelike characteristics, like a computer, a rope, I had to put them under personification. But yeah, that's about it. This was not supposed to be that long, but we had good tangents. The tech convos and the God convos. Yeah, I'll make sure to fucking the timestamps for these when I release them on YouTube. I'll make sure to include that. But yeah, that's about it, Christian. What else? What do you have to say for this painful poem?
That is it.
That is it. All right, folks. We will be back. Well, what are we doing? Well, let's see. Am I shifting the mood here? Oh shit. The next, Jesus Christ. The next section.
Why don't we keep it a surprise?
Oh shit.
Let them just find out.
All right, say less. All right, great. All right, we're done.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.